As Arkansas prepares to face Rice in Week 1, I want to take a few minutes and talk about the matchup against Rice's defense and what KJ Jefferson needs to do from the quarterback position to make sure Arkansas is in a good position to succeed and to win that game. And we're not going to pretend like Rice is some huge threat, but they shouldn't be taken lightly, right? Just like any opponent, they're a very well-coached team. They have a well-coached defense, and they're not going to give up big plays, or at least not going to have blown assignments. So we're going to look at some Rice's defense from last year. So take with a grain of salt this from last year, but it's with an opponent that runs a similar offense. So there are some takeaways, and I think it just gives us an idea of what KJ Jefferson needs to do against this defense, against this style of defense. But before we go into some film and talk in some more detail about what Jefferson needs to do, I just want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel if you like any quarterback-related content. So we're going to watch some film of Rice's defense against North Texas last year. And the reason I chose North Texas was, one, limited film, but two, it actually is somewhat similar to offense that Bryles runs, that Arkansas runs. They're going to spread some people out. You're going to see some receivers line up outside the numbers, but you also have some kind of bunch formations as well to kind of confuse the defense. And so I think regardless what Arkansas uses, whether it's bunch formations, whether they are spread out and outside the numbers, whatever it may be, there are going to be a few examples of how you can beat this Rice defense. And first and foremost, Arkansas just has better athletes, right? Plain and simple. So regardless of what Rice throws at them, Arkansas's got better athletes. They should be able to beat them. Right now, Arkansas is, I think, 19.5-point favorites, which is probably a pretty fair stat line. So right under 3 touchdowns. The thing about Rice's defense is they're going to play tough, and they're actually pretty good against the pass. So they were in the top 30 defenses against the pass last year, if I can pull up the exact number. Again, they only played like 5 or 6 games last year at the COVID year, if I remember. Yeah, 5 games, but they only gave up 200 yards per game. So a good, granted, it is Conference USA, but still a good number right there. And so whenever we watch this film, we're going to see multiple different coverages that Rice gives. So we're going to see some cover 2 with some man under. We're going to see some cover 1 with some man under. So when you see North Texas spread out the field, we're going to see a lot of opportunities to have space that Jefferson's going to be able to utilize. When we see North Texas kind of have bunch formation, that's when we have kind of your tight man, your cover 1 man. But even with that, when you have tight man, with Arkansas's Arkansas's skilled players, they should be able to beat press coverage and beat man fairly easily. So I think the takeaways for Jefferson are this. Take what the defense gives him, because they're going to give him some easy throws for a simple fact they don't want to get beat by those better receivers. And then whenever whenever there's a matchup that is in favor with you, take that shot. And there's going to be favorable matchups during this game. So take what the defense gives you, and then take the shots the defense provides, the defense shows as well. I know it sounds fairly simple, but you don't need to make any spectacular plays against Rice. Take what the defense gives you, and then whenever a matchup presents itself, take the shot downfield. So let's watch 4 clips from Rice's defense. You can kind of get an understanding of what Rice is going to be throwing at Arkansas offense, and then you can utilize it. You can kind of tell from yourself what Jefferson needs to do against this Rice defense. And again, take it with a grain of salt. It was last year. Changes are probably going to be made. It's going to look different, and we talk about it in the video how things could look a lot different this year. So take it with a grain of salt, but at least it's better than nothing. Let's go ahead and dive into the film and talk about what Jefferson needs to do against this defense. So here's Rice versus North Texas from last year, and I think using North Texas is a good team to use for. It's somewhat similar to the way Arkansas tries to spread out teams. So we get a good example of 2 up top safeties here. They're spread out, so we're going to see there's only 5 players in the box here. And with a quarterback like KJ Jefferson, or if you have a package from Lake Hornsby, you have 5 guys in the box. Everything's spread out. That's a good setup for a potential quarterback run, which what we see here with North Texas. Look at the space that's created here, just throughout the whole defense here, right? So we're going to watch here. It is a quarterback run here. They do a quick kind of fake screen here. It gets the safety coming in here. You've got man up out here, and then the quarterback's able to pick up a few yards upfield. Let's go ahead and watch this angle as well. Again, don't know exactly what they'll be running against Arkansas, but they'll be well coached. They won't have a ton of great athletes, but again, they'll be hard-nosed ball players and well coached and be in good position. So their main goal is just keeping Arkansas in front. But again, there will be space for Arkansas to utilize. So here's an example of North Texas in a different look, different formation than the first one we saw. So now they kind of have like a scrunched look, if you will. They got trips over here if you want to include that tight end. So they're a little more compact. We got Rice in a cover 1 man under look here. And I think this is a good I think you might see Arkansas do this some, make the field smaller, force Rice to be in a little more man defense, which they have press man here, they have off man here, and they got one safety here. But what that does is going to put Arkansas's weapons and put Arkansas's receivers and running backs in man coverage. Look, we got the linebacker having to cover the running back out of the backfield. I think you'll see Arkansas set up plays like this just to give their guys a favorable matchup. Let's watch this one more time. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Again, one up top safety, so it's a much different look from Rice's defense than whenever they spread the field out. And so I think getting favorable matchups, everyone's man. I don't know if they'll play a ton of man against Arkansas because of the weapons Arkansas has, but just going off this film, I would expect there to be some man, especially when they make the field smaller, and I think Arkansas can kind of take advantage of that as well. So here's a different look from the first two videos. Remember the first video, every receiver was spread out. The second video, every receiver was in. In this video, we have one side is going to be more in a shortened field, and then we have guys spread out even outside the numbers. And so this puts Rice in a different position. In the first two videos, we see one up top safety. It's going to be covering one man under essentially, and this safety is going to be helping to the side of the field that has two receivers, keeping people in man here. So if Arkansas gets man, which we have man right here, if there's man on their tight ends, again, it's going to create a mismatch problem. So Arkansas should be able to take advantage of creating these mismatches, whether they go short field, wide field, or have receivers wide in general to create more space. There's multiple ways for them to beat Rice's defense for the simple fact the talent that Arkansas has. Again, I expect Rice to play hard and tough and physical, but there should be plenty of ways to beat this defense. Just going off what they played last year. So here's an example similar to the first clip we watched of Rice's defense of when you spread the field out, you got two guys outside the numbers, almost three basically, he's right on the numbers. When you have a ton of space here, this is what it will look like, and I think Arkansas will again be able to take advantage of the space here. You're going to see Rice bring people. I really don't know if I expect them to do that against Arkansas. If they do, you look for quick throws, just replace where the blitzing guys are coming from, which I could see them maybe doing that with KJ Jefferson only starting in just a handful of games, only one last year, I believe. So I could see them trying to do it to confuse the quarterbacks. But if they do that the simple thing you're taught as a quarterback, hey, wherever pressure is coming from, just replace the ball where that pressure is. So if that's the case, and look at all this space here, I just can't imagine Rice doing that to Arkansas, give them that much space. But if they do, and that is kind of what you expect to look for here. That's an NFL receiver making a play there. And of course, Arkansas having multiple playmakers. Wouldn't expect Rice to do it, but if they do, they could be looking to confuse the quarterback. That's okay. Just stay calm, deliver where the blitzing guys came from, and let your guys make plays against the Rice defense. So again, just want to reiterate, it was last year, so things could be a lot different. You can see them play Arkansas a lot different because of the athletes, but the offense does spread them out. The offense does have some bunch formations, and so I think it was a decent comparison. At least gives you an idea, hey, what Rice could potentially do pre-snap and post-snap. But I want to hear from you. What do you think Jefferson needs to do to beat Rice? And just like I mentioned earlier in the video, your athletes and your guys are so much better than Rice's guys. It doesn't matter what Rice throws at you, but you still have to play within your offensive scheme. Particularly, the defense gives you take shots when you need to take shots. So that's kind of my 2 cents for Arkansas this week. Again, nothing spectacular. Keep it simple. You should be able to, be in a good situation to beat Rice and have a good offensive standpoint. But at the same time, Rice is a well-coached team and they're hard-nosed. So I think it's going to be I don't want to say a hard challenge, but they're going to throw a lot at you, so you'll be able to process that as well. So I want to hear from you. What do you think about the matchup this week? What's your prediction for the score? Is 19.5 too high, too low? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you next week when we have our next Arkansas or this next quarterback-related video.